We have gotten a lot of interest and some questions about a story that we aired yesterday concerning TV ads. Those ads were launched by former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who resigned last August following allegations of sexual harassment and abuse surfaced.
Now, the New York Times reports that Cuomo's campaign fund is spending nearly $400,000 on these advertisements. And a common question that we've gotten is that even legal to do? Here's 2 on your side's Dave McKinley.
The short answer is yes, it is legal for Cuomo, though no longer in office and while not an announced candidate for anything, to dip into his $16 million campaign war chest to pay for these ads and a lot more. In fact, under current state law, he can use it for pretty much anything, save for personal expenses, the definition of which is wide open for interpretation if it can be even loosely tied to his past service or a future campaign.
But New York law is more Swiss cheese than it is law.
Blair Horner is with the New York Public Interest Research Group.
Most people think of campaign contributions being used for things like campaigning.
Just over a year ago, our news partners at Investigative Post reported on this same topic, noting the amounts that several elected officials locally had left in their campaign coffers, even though they'd left office, in some cases, well over a decade ago. Often funds are donated to charities or to political parties or other candidates running for office. But the IP story also noted how, in the case of a couple of pals who became lobbyists, money from their old campaign funds donated to current lawmakers could curry favor for the causes they now lobby for.
New York has a long way to go to tighten this law up. They haven't had a real appetite to do it.
Although there have been some bills in Albany seeking to further restrict what leftover campaign cash can be used for. The most recent in its message of justification noting that campaign donors have a reasonable expectation that their contributions will be used for the candidate's election efforts and the execution of his or her duties, but that current law allowing candidates to spend campaign funds for any lawful purpose is among the most lax in the nation, noting as well that while spending campaign funds for personal use is technically prohibited, the lack of any definition for what constitutes a personal use renders the provision meaningless. Now, that bill to change the law, which we referenced in our story tonight, has actually been introduced several times in recent years, but it never made it out of committee. Perhaps not surprising, as Horner notes, you would be asking lawmakers to approve eliminating something they now have and which could be of benefit to them when their lawmaking days are done. Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.